Good morning, David Elementary School. I'm Elena Talbert.
And I'm Addison Spates.
And today we have with us a very special guest. His name is Mr. Larry Lee. It's very nice to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
So Mr. Lee joined the Rural Schools Collaborative Board of Directors in July of 2017. Although Mr. Lee has never been an educator, he is a noted rural schools and public education advocate, and he was instrumental in the development of our new Southeastern Hub at the University of West Alabama. Mr. Lee is also a strong supporter of the new Black Belt Teacher Corps.
Mr. Lee, for the ones that are not familiar with the word education advocate, could you please explain what that is?
Well, first of all, let me thank y'all for having me over on what turned into be a very wet morning here in Danville. But thank you so much. It's my pleasure, and we have visited your school, and I'm very, very impressed with the things that y'all got going on. An advocate is someone, and y'all would know what an advocate, what that means. That means you're going to speak good about, like you would be an advocate for Danville Elementary School.
Okay.
And for the Leader in Me program and the good things that go on, or an advocate for your teacher. You would advocate that y'all need a good superintendent.
We do have a good superintendent.
Since Mr. Wendell is sitting here listening to all of this. But that's what it is when you advocate. So 10 years ago, I'm not an educator, never worked for a school. Only time I've ever been in school was when I was like you guys, was a student. But 10 years ago, I was involved in doing a study of 10 rural schools in Alabama in just amazing places. And I got real interested in being a spokesperson for the good things that are going on in those schools, in all schools, and a lot of other. And I don't think many people realize, mostly we hear about bad stuff about schools. We hear about, things like, well, this school is bad, and we just had these school report cards that came out, and they said, oh, we've got all these F schools. But I don't see that when I travel around. And so that's why I decided to be an advocate, so to speak. So I started a blog and write stories for the newspapers, and that's my advocacy role, I guess you would say, Alana.
And so you did major in journalism at Auburn University.
Well, I actually, I have a major in journalism and got a degree in agricultural science and majored in journalism, and I guess I was the only person on campus doing that, and that was I graduated from Auburn in 1966. That was a little bit before your time.
A lot bit before my time.
Well, I'm a pretty big Auburn fan.
Well, good for you, War Eagle.
You two have fun. I will be over here with the Alabama people.
Do what?
I'm an Alabama fan.
You got on an orange shirt?
This is my school shirt.
Alabama person. You look like a smarter child than that.
So what do you enjoy most about journalism?
Well, I've always had the gift, I think it is, of being able to write. And now I can't tell you why I write like I do. I think people, just like some people that we know play music by ear. You've heard that expression, they hear a tune and they can sit down at the piano. And that's kind of the way I write. I kind of hear something and I just put it down on, it used to be on a piece of paper and now it's on the computer screen. But journalism exposes you to a lot of different things. And you learn to be, I think, very observant. You pay a lot of attention, you listen, and you start to kind of connect some dots. And I will say that I kind of think like in journalism thoughts as I'm driving down the road, I'll see something and say, well, if I was gonna write about that, this is what I would say.
Now, you do journalism, but what we do is kind of like journalism, but not as
Sure.
in
Well, yours
depth
is
as-
a different kind of journalism. It's not, broadcast media is very much journalism.
I
Do you
have
do
a-
much fake news?
fake?
Yeah.
Fake? No. what we do
Well, we
is,
hear the president talk about all this fake news. I wondered if y'all were in the fake news business.
no, we're in the news that goes around the school
Oh,
and around
okay.
the community and
There
stuff
you
like
go.
that.
Very good.
What's your overall outlook on Alabama public schools?
Well, I think that we're doing not an exception, we're doing an exceptional job in some places. We could improve in some places. But here's the thing, the way I look at it. You know, Nick Saban, your football coach, not everybody who plays on his team is an All-American. Some of them are, but not everybody can be an All-American. Not every teacher is going to be an All-American. Not every school is going to be an All-American. They're going to be working hard to get better. I think there's some amazing things going on in our schools across this state that we don't. I mean, as I visit schools, I see things. I just told Mr. Wendell that I was in the second grade the other day, and a young guy there was working with a little machine, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "This is a 3D printer, and I'm making a ping pong paddle." And I'm like, duh. You know, when I was in school, we didn't know what 3D, we didn't even know what a cell phone was when I was in school. Of course, when I was in school, we didn't even know what a color TV was. It was so long ago, Alana, that, and we didn't even know who Nick Saban was either.
Some more of black and white pictures is what y'all
It
see.
was, if you had one, I remember not having a television. I'm old.
Well, they do make shows still in black and white. I watch some of them.
That's just for us old people, isn't it?
I like old shows. That's like one of the.
Like Andy Griffith and
Oh
some
yeah,
of-
I've watched every episode of that.
Well, great for you. We don't make them like that anymore.
No. And are there any new exciting things happening in public education?
I think there's exciting things happening every day. As I say, you go into so many schools and they're happening at the local level. They're happening, you know, things that y'all are doing. You heard Coach Talbert talk about the special needs PE that y'all do here. You know, every school system is able to, if they've got a good superintendent and got good people, they're looking for things that they can do to help their kids in special ways and improve the education in that community and raise more great sixth graders like you guys.
What do you hope to accomplish by writing about public education?
Well, I just hope to let some people know that things aren't like a lot of people think they are. We've got, in Alabama, we have a legislature. We got 105 House members and we got 35 senators. And they pass a lot of things that deal with education. And unfortunately, I think too often the people passing something don't know enough about what's going on in our schools. And so we get some laws that are passed that are more of a hindrance to education than they are helpful. And my blog gets an awful lot of readership and a lot of response from people saying, from educators particularly, saying, you know, I appreciate the point that you put out, because education needs a voice. Education is the biggest budget we have in the state of Alabama. We spend more money on education, the total education picture, than we spend on any other one thing. And we've got 730,000 students this morning in public schools in Alabama. That's 750,000 people. It's important that we do a good job for them, because you guys are the future of Alabama. Somebody's got to make some money and pay for my Social Security.
Our habit for the month of February is seek first to understand, then to be understood. How would you apply this to public education?
I don't think we tell our story enough. I think we need to tell our mamas and daddies, this is what's going on in my school. These are the good things, and or here's some things that we could help with. A lot of schools ask parents, ask people that run stores, ask the local elected officials, could you volunteer and help us down there? Could you come read to some kids? Could you be a mentor and help a kid that's maybe behind in the reading, help to teach them to read better? So we need to, I think one of my sayings is education is everyone's business, and that means everyone in that community. At one time, a community and a school were kind of the same thing. And we've gone away from that, and we see, well, there's the school, but I don't have anything to do with it. Well, yes, you do, because every time a child drops out of school, everybody is going to pay the price for that. So we got to expand our world, and so anytime y'all can let other people know, here's some things. I mean, invite people to come up here and see. Invite different people to come do an interview with you guys. This is very impressive. And you get the mayor, get a county commissioner, get people like that into this setting, and they go away and they say, wow, I didn't know anything like that was going on. So y'all, this is a great way to get information about your school out.
We had the mayor of Davil come probably about I want to say a couple of weeks ago, around in October or November to come,
Right.
and we did an interview with him, and it was a nice job. I like doing interviews with different people and getting to know different people.
Well, good. That was a great, you done good. You might get the governor to come over. She likes education. That would be great for y'all to invite the governor. She and I were classmates at Auburn.
Well, maybe you should tell her and say, hey, I got these.
I could send her a note and I say, Elena Talbert says she's time for you to get on the ball. You any kin to this guy?
No, somewhere down that line is.
Maybe way back.
Yeah, way back.
Well, you're a lot better looking than he is.
Yeah. I always thought so. I just kind of kept it to myself.
You okay?
So where do you see public education being in the next few years?
Well, there's people I mentioned a minute ago, that the most money we spend in the state of Alabama is on public education. I mean, the education budget, which is up in the legislature right now, is about $6 billion. That's a B, not an M, so that's $6 billion. That's a whole lot of money, Addison. All right, because there's so much money goes into education, there's a lot of companies that are looking and saying, how can I get some of that money? And certainly your principal knows about people that are selling, somebody sold y'all the supply, this camera and this, the setup you have right here. Some of your textbooks, the food that you serve in the lunchroom. There's a world of money that's funneled into education. And today we have things like charter schools and other things. There's a lot of people saying, how can we get our nose under the tent and get some of that money? And I think a lot of stuff that's being driven today in education, ultimately it's because of money. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
You stick to it, and that's a good opinion. I think you had a great opinion.
Well, I'm proud. You'd be okay if you wasn't for the Alabama. I'll bring you an Auburn shirt next time I come up here.
You do that. Now, that was wonderful, and you did a great job today. Thank you so much. But I do have one more important question.
Uh-oh. It's a trick question?
Not really a trick question. It's just if you have a problem with looking into cameras, then it's going to be an awful question for you. But would you please look into the camera and leave a word of advice for the students of Davil Elementary School?
Well, my word of advice was pay attention to your teacher. And study hard, become a good student if best you can. Education is something that we can never... I think you go to school to learn, hopefully you learn to love to learn. You know, I started reading when I was in elementary school. I can remember being in about the 5th grade, and every day I'd go to the library, I'd check out a book, and I'd read it that night, and the next day I got another book. And I still read and I still learn, so your learning process does not stop when you stop going to school. And so, in today's world, you know, if I wasn't continuing learning, the world is so totally different today, as we alluded to a while ago. You know, when I grew up, when I was your age, there was no such thing as a cell phone, or a fax machine, or the internet, or, you know, all this other stuff. And so you've got to continue to be able to learn, so you hope you get enough education that it will help you learn as you grow, as you age. The worst thing in the world to me would be not able to read. But I read constantly, even today. And what if you're driving down the road and you see the sign up there that says you turn this way and turn that way? What if you couldn't read?
Then you'd keep going straight and
There you go.
just,
You
Out
don't,
there.
you end up lost.
yeah.
End
And this-
up kind of like
like
an
you said-
Alabama student.
Like you say about the reading, if we weren't able to read, us doing this, we wouldn't be able to do it.
That's right. You couldn't be reading those words up there on the screen.
Right. But we really thank you for coming
Well,
out today.
it's my pleasure. I'm honored that y'all would have me. Addison, thank you for having me over. Alana, thank you.
Elena,
Elena, excuse me. I was close.
yeah, close. I get that a lot, but that's okay. Thank you for coming out of your busy schedule to do this with us.
In rainy weather.
Yeah, in rainy weather, like you
Well,
said.
I went to Auburn. I'm just a good guy.
Okay, thank you so much for it.
Thank you, guys.
This is a great opportunity to meet a lot of different people like you.
I'm probably the most famous person you've ever met.
You might just be.
Well, until the governor gets here.
Yeah, till the governor gets here, I'm gonna have to put you in second place. One thing we always say at the end of each broadcast, you
Okay.
don't have to say it, but it's just something that
War
let
Eagle?
us go. No, it's
It
not.
should
War
be. That's what it should be.
No, it's not War Eagle. It's just something that'll remind students that what you choose to do, it always reflects back and stuff like that. So what we always say, that is the end. And as we always say, have a great day or night. The choice is yours.